All right, so we've looked at Manifest Destiny. We talked about the impact that the idea of Manifest Destiny has on Native Americans. Now we're going to look at national infrastructure, Henry Clay, and the roots of sectionalism. That Age of Jackson era that has reforms, guys. That's going to add. We're going to see the abolition of slavery. We're going to see the push for women's rights. We're going to see the improvement in education. We're going to see all these things. But while we have Manifest Destiny, we're us expanding, we're seeing the treatment of Native Americans, internal conflicts which are occurring throughout in the United States. And really, all of these things are dividing the country. So, national infrastructure. This is the basic equipment and structures such as bridges and roads that are needed for a country to properly function. So there could be, and the big issue that we're going to see is that who's going to pay for this? Now, a huge example of this is something known as the Erie Canal. Canals are man-made waterways, man-made rivers. And now this canal stretched 363 miles from Lake Erie to the Hudson River. And it flows into the Atlantic Ocean at a place that you need to begin to understand as a major center of trade, that being New York. Now, this helped increase settlement and unite new regions within the Atlantic states. So we're seeing things like roads, and these are basic roads that are being built, paths that are being cleared for people to be able to travel. We're seeing infrastructure, roads, buildings, stuff of that nature, which allows this country to function, allows us to improve on a consistent basis, allows us to get raw materials, goods from one place to another. So we need this infrastructure. When you're going up and down 75 and 75 shut down because there's a pothole, that's bad infrastructure. The building of this new school, the school building is a form of infrastructure that is built by the county to improve education. So all of these things are infrastructure. Now, let's begin to connect this. The North, the South, and the West were increasingly linked together, coming together because of advancements in the industrial and transportation revolution. So we're seeing industrial revolution allowing us to do what? If you said mass produce goods, that's good. And if I'm mass producing something, and now I can sell it to more places because I can get it somewhere faster, I'm going to make more money. So that is what's going on. Most factories were located in the north due to the swift flowing rivers. Rivers are natural motion. And as I move, I'm creating, if you said energy, you would be correct. And so that's what it's generating that power. And of course, they became dependent on their immigrant populations who supply cheap, unskilled laborers for these factories. While the American South and West were going to give what to the North? The raw materials needed to manufacture finished products. So now the result, guys, goods were transported by roads, canals, railroads, as a result of widespread internal improvements to the infrastructure. So if I'm up north and they've got resources in the South, I need to get them on a consistent basis so I can put them in my machine and I can mass produce that bad boy. Well, transportation and roads are important. What happens if 75 regular happens on 75? Now, Henry Clay, all right, who is a Kentuckian politician, he's going to be founder of this new party that we're going to start to hear about, this Whig Party. And boy, oh boy, was he a rival of Andrew Jackson, the common man. Now, Henry Clay supported industrialization. All right, he supported national infrastructure and believed that the federal government needed to take strong action to ensure the economic growth of the United States. He said, hey, it's the federal government's job to provide and produce these better roads, better canals, better buildings, better infrastructure for goods to be produced and for people to get these goods. Now, Henry Clay had a plan for this to happen. And he said, I'm going to call this bad boy my American system. Okay, this system in which was going to be best for America. He encouraged Congress to pass protective tariffs. All right. Now, here we go. You've already watched a little video on this, so let's understand. That would make imported goods be more expensive than similar products manufactured in American factories. So a tariff makes something produced in England cost more. Okay? So that means the good produced in America is going to cost what? Less. Which one are you going to be more likely to buy? The American product. Now, that's the positive side on it. We'll look at the negative side later. Now, he also said, number 2, federal funding for internal improvements to the infrastructure of the United States. He believed that the federal government should pay for this. There's a big issue, and we're not going to dive into it, but understand this. He said that the reestablishment of a national bank. So in our mind, there is a national bank, the Federal Reserve. It wasn't like that until World War I. So reestablishment of a national bank to issue a national currency and to serve as a depository for federal funds. Sounds like what we have today. That is what we have today. However, Jackson's at president, and there's a major deal breaker, okay? And that is the national bank. Deal breaker across the board. Now, this is why, and understand what we're starting to see. President Jackson believed the national bank supported the upper class industrialists at the expense, meaning that it was costing this small farmer. And he was a man of the common people, that yeoman individual farmer who was trying to be self-sufficient, take care of himself. And so he hated the national bank. Now, this is where we are seeing another example of sectionalism. Issues going on in the country dividing people. So, quick review, what was the nullification crisis? The nullification crisis is when South Carolina said, do not like tariffs. So here we go. Henry Clay wanted a tariff, right? So here's another issue. Nullify the tariff and threatened to say we were going to leave the United States if we were forced to, had to pay it. So you know how it is because you've read about it already. It ends by, a compromise. But John C. Calhoun, guys, he's vice president of the United States. Because of these issues going on, is going to shift from nationalism all the way to sectionalism. Because the North, which was more industrialized, benefited from higher taxes on imports. But it raised the prices the agricultural South had to pay. So John C. Calhoun is a symbol of the era of Jackson, the age of Jackson, of how we go from the era of good feeling, proud to be an American, to now industrialization, tariffs, beliefs in states' rights are going to begin to divide the country politically. All right, so if you have any questions, this is the ends of these notes. If you have any questions, please let me know. And always remember, smiling is contagious.